All right. Go ahead and sit up nice and tall. Or imagine that you are metal and the floor and the ceiling are magnets. So they're lengthening you in both directions, and it's effortless for you. Imagine that your shoulders are attracted to the magnet on the floor, your hips are attracted to the magnet on the floor, the crown of your head is attracted to the magnet on the ceiling. Just feeling that gentle stretch through the whole spinal column. Feel your ribs getting further away from each other. And then imagine that you're sitting inside of a tube or a round room, shall we say. And it's also magnetic, so you're being pulled outwards all the way around from head to tail and 360 around you. All of your cells expanding, getting a little more space between them. Just any compression that's going on in your body starts to be released and relieved. Creating more space to breathe. And you want to make sure that your knees are comfortable here because we're going to be forward folding over them. So if you need some support under the knees, you can go ahead and put some support there. And we're going to lift up and out of our pelvis as much as possible and then walk the torso forwards, extending the arms way out in front of you, but keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Let the head melt down. Let the elbows be soft as they melt down towards the floor. Bring the head and the torso up slightly and walk the hands over to the left. And you want to really square your chest to your knee. Get long. Root your right hip down and then lengthen over that left leg and melt down. And you're really lengthening from the right hip to the right fingertips. So we open up the whole right side of the body from the hip to the fingers. And notice if that right shoulder wants to pop up, really plug the shoulder, the rib cage down towards the floor. Up a little bit, walking across the body, all the way over to the right side. Plug the left hip down and reach long through the left arm, squaring your chest to your knee, and then lengthen and relax. Lifting up, walk back center, then walk all the way in and swap legs. So whatever leg was in front goes behind. Root down through your hips, lift up nice and long, and then lengthen forward again. So hips are glued to the mat. Relax the shoulders away from the ears, elbows heavy, head heavy. Walking up, walk over to the right. And again, you lengthen the left hip down and the left arm forward, square your chest to your knee, and then relax down over. Notice if that left rib cage is rolling up, roll it down. Hang up on the fingertips, walking through center, all the way over to the left. Press the right hip down, lengthen the right arm forward, square the chest to the left knee, and melt down. Coming up, walk back center, and walk yourself back up. Roll the shoulders up and back, melting down. Back to that idea of being metal, sitting on a magnet with a magnet up over your head, and just feeling the length through your spine. Okay, so next pose is going to be a little bit of a internal arm rotation and shoulder opener. We're going to be lying backwards. I'm going to flip around for a second so you can see what I'm talking about. You're going to be lying on your back and you're going to take your hand palm down just below your low back. While you're doing that, you're going to be looking for the shoulder to be popping up or the elbow to be popping up. If that's happening, then you know that you're tight and you want to stay there. If everything's flat to the floor, everything feels real easy peasy, you'll start to walk the hand up the back, and you might get that arm all the way up towards the nape of your neck before you get a stretch, and that's fine. So basic level is going to be just lying on your back, palm in the small of your back, palm face down. And if that feels easy, walking it up, planting the hand, and then lying back down on top of the hand. So we're using our body weight to kind of force that internal rotation. Gives us a really nice massage through the hand and wrist. I feel this all the way down the delt, towards the elbow, and then a little bit through the outer forearm. You might feel it somewhere different. If you're still not getting a deep enough stretch, but you can't quite get your arm up there on your own, you will roll onto your right side and use the floor to push the hand a little further, and then roll onto your back. Ooh. Try to relax your shoulder, relax your elbow. And the more you can relax into this, the more the stretch is going to flood into additional areas. So as I soften into this, it starts to come up through my chest into my collarbones and up the scalenes, which come between the scalenes and the first rib, and then the muscles that are always super tight in most people coming up towards the jaw. Finding areas where you're resisting, surrendering. See if you can soften into those spaces. Always spots that we hold tension. We don't need to. Sometimes it's our forehead, our hands, our tongue, our toes. Every exhale you can use to fall a little bit deeper. To come out of this, you're going to bend the right leg and push yourself over on your left side to release the right arm down. Mini Shavasana. Turn both palms up and just relax for a second. We're going to bend the left leg, roll onto the right side, bring the left arm around behind us. Again, basic pose is just palm right in the small of the low back with the palm face down. If you want to go further up, you walk the hand up, roll yourself back down. And if it feels like you need more, you actually roll onto the left side and use the floor to assist pulling that arm up. And then lie back down. A couple long sighing exhales, melting down. Notice where you're holding tension. Take a couple more deep breaths here. Really let the shoulder and the elbow soften. Notice if you're holding tension in that left hand. And use your breath to massage the top of the wrist. And then bending the left foot, the left knee, foot to the floor, roll onto the right side. Undo that left arm, relax, palms face up. Mini Shavasana. Take advantage of this mini Shavasana because we're on our back, so we might as well do some core work while we're here. So from here, bend both knees, feet to the floor, and pull the knees up into the chest. Give yourself a little hug, rock side to side. You're going to extend your right leg down, so it's hovering just slightly above your hip. So your toes are just maybe like a half inch or an inch higher than the hip. And you're going to pull your head and shoulders up so that your shoulder blades are off the ground. Typically, we push our abs out here, and I want you to pull your abs down as if you were trying to suck your belly button into the floor. We're going to pull the knee towards the nose, draw the belly button down, and then switch legs. And switch, 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 switch. One more on each side. And then hold here. Now, you can continue with that exact same movement we were just doing, or if you want to intensify a little bit, you can straighten that leg up, maybe grab the ankle or the back of the knee. But the main thing we're focusing on here is drawing the abdominals down into the floor and keeping those shoulders up off the ground. So we're going to be hanging onto the leg, and then we're going to switch, 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 keep drawing the belly down, switch, 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 switch. One more on each side, 1 and 2. Pull both legs up, so even if you had the knees in, keep both legs up, reaching the fingers up towards the toes. See if you can lift up a little higher and pull your belly down a little bit more. Bend the knees to a tabletop and then rock yourself up and try to hold that balanced position. Nice. Drop the feet to the floor. Open the knees up into butterfly. So we're in a nice open butterfly, not tucked up and tight. We're nice and open. And then take a forward fold. So if you're not sure where your feet are supposed to be placed, you can think of if you could get your forehead down into your feet, your forehead would be cradled by the arches of your feet. And then rolling up, continuing to open up the chest and shoulders. You're going to turn the hands around so the fingers point away from you. Bend the knees, feet on the floor, hip width apart. Now, most basic aspect of this pose would be to pick your hips up and just scooch your butt away from you, and then move the feet. So that's going to be a nice intense stretch. If you want to go deeper, you bring your butt back a little bit. And then lift the hips up. And as you come up, you would actually pull your butt away from you. Maybe walk those feet a little further away. But pushing the butt up, trying to spread the collarbones wide. Dropping the butt to the ground if you lifted it up. Coming back into butterfly, but this time we are going to pull the feet in nice and close as you can get while still sitting upright. So feet are together, I'm grabbing hold of my ankles, and then using the ankles to actually lift my chest up and push it forward through my arms. And then I use, there's a lot of different physics, English not working. Physics, we're going with physics. So essentially, I'm using my ankles to pull myself up towards the ceiling. So I'm finding the opposition, there we go. And then at the same time, because I'm pulling up on my ankles, I can push down on my knees and use opposition there and open up through my hips even more. Good, and then release that opposition for a second. You're going to cross the left hand to the right ankle, bring the right hand behind you, and take that into a twist. So now I'm using my ankles and my knees to push down, and my left hand to pull up. I rotate around, squeezing my shoulder blades towards each other. And release. Walk that right hand to the left ankle, left hand behind. Push down through the knees, pull up with the arm. Get taller, rotate around, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Come on back, center, grab hold of your ankles again. Sit up nice and tall, push those knees down, and then pull yourself forward into a forward fold, but without rounding the back. So you stay nice and flat, and you can actually use your elbows here to start to push the thighs down as you press your chest past your toes. All right, come on up. We're going to move ourselves into downward facing dog. So if you're like me and you've got a million layers, you can start to peel those off. Make your way into downward facing dog. Take your dog for a little walk here, bending one knee and then the other. And you want to look back at your feet as you're doing this. Notice if you have a tendency to roll your ankles in or out. So you'll see that there'll be a bigger crease either on the inside of the ankles or on the outside of the ankles. And you want to try to balance that out so that you're nice and straight, you're even between the two sides. So for me, I have to push a little more through the outer edges of my heels. For you, it might be the same, or you might have to push a little bit more through the inner edges of your ankles and heels. Walk the hands back to the feet. Chilling out in a forward fold for a moment. We're gonna go back and forth here for a couple rounds. Letting everything relax here in the forward fold. And then walking back into downward facing dog. Checking on those feet. Pulling your shoulders away from your ears. And just like we did in those ab exercises, you're going to gently draw your belly button in towards your low back. Peeling your hips up towards the sky as you press your heels towards the floor. And then walk the hands back, downward facing, or sorry, not downward facing dog, forward fold. Walking into downward facing dog again. We're going to take a little twist here in down dog. So this is where it's really important to watch your feet because you're going to start to notice your hips will rock one way or the other. You start to rotate your heels. You want to really work to keep your feet and your hips in the same place that they are right now with 4 points on the floor. And we're going to take a point away so you can just pull that left hand back a little bit. And then reach the left hand to the outside of the right leg. So it might just be up here on the thigh or on the knee or on the ankle, might be on the outside of the foot if you're super bendy. And you're going to twist to look under your right arm. But take a second and look back. Oh look, I'm way over here on my right side, so I need to push more into my left heel to get my butt back between the legs. And release. Walk it back into a forward fold. Walk it back into down dog. Check in on the weight in your feet. Then we're going to pick that right hand up. Cross it across the body through. Grab the outer edge of that left leg as far down as you can. Make sure your butt stays in between the two heels and twist to look to the left. Releasing the right hand. This time drop down onto the knees. Bring the big toes together, walk the knees a little further apart. Drop the hips back to the heels, wide knee child's pose. All right, come up onto all fours. You're going to walk your hands forward, but keep your hips where they are. So you come down into Anahata for a moment. And as you're resting in this pose, you really want to allow your bottom ribs and your pubic bone to melt away from each other. So you're creating more space in the abdominal cavity. And then imagine your rib cage kind of opening up like a book here. So if the back of your body is the spine of the book, and your ribs are the edges, and the edges with paper, you're going to open up that whole front section. Engage your abdominals and walk up just a little bit. Thread the left arm in under, drop onto the left shoulder, and walk that right hand way forwards. The mat's a little bit short. And you're gonna reach your right fingertips as far forwards as you can and then pull your right hip backwards. So you create a little traction. If you feel like you need more, you can actually walk your right hand across the top of your mat towards the upper left corner and then pull your hip back. Extra points here, a little self-massage. You can bend that left elbow so that your fingers look up towards the sky. And take your thumb right into your rib cage where your shoulder blade is. This is chicken wing. And just start to tenderize said chicken wing. And you work all the way down to the point of the shoulder blade and all the way up into the armpit. So that tilly. Release the left arm, bring the right hand back, cross the mat, and walk it back to your face. Unwind. Oh. Do a couple rounds of cat and cow, so rounding the back, arching the back. And we do the same thing. So walk the hands back out, both hands, drop down on a Hatha. Should feel more space in that right shoulder than in the left. And walk the hands up just a little bit so you can slide the right shoulder down. Dropping down, left hand reaches out in front of you, pull your left hip back. If you need more of a stretch, walk the hand across the mat. And then again, pull the left hip back. And you can bend the right elbow, fingertips point up towards the sky, and then grab hold of that left chicken wing. And start to work the tissue with the thumb. Releasing the right arm, walk the left hands back across and back in front of your face. Unwind. Oh. Cat cow. Back into wide knee child's pose, big toes together, knees apart, hips back, chest down. Walking yourself up. Come on into plank pose. You're going to pick your right foot up, step it to the outside of the right hand. Drop the left knee down, relax the foot, and start to melt your shoulders towards the floor. But as you do this, you want to make sure that you can maintain squareness with the mat. So if you start to notice that you gotta do this to melt down, then you want to back yourself up to a place where you can really square the chest and come down. So in theory, you should always have even weight between the right and left hand, elbows, whatever's. Now you're welcome to stay here. If you'd like to take a more active variation of this pose, you'll flex your left foot, bringing the toes to the floor, lift the left knee up. You want to take this even further. You'll walk the hands out, so you're up on your fingertips. Oh, absolute murder in that left hip. And if you're up, you're going to come back down, come up onto your hands, turn the right toes out, lean into the left hand, open up to look over your right shoulder, and then if you'd like, you can bend that left knee, reach back, or the foot, and then sink your hips forwards. Make sure you're breathing. You might be a little bit spring-loaded here, so mindfully release the hand and foot. Turn the right toes back forward, re-square the hips and shoulders. Tuck the left toes, lift the left knee. Heel toe your right foot in line with your shoulder. And then go ahead and bring yourself up. Arms up, crescent lunge. Now, as you come into crescent lunge, you really want to focus on tucking your tail in under you and almost pulling your imaginary tail forwards in front of you. At the same time, lift your pubic bone up and drop your rib cage down. So there's a very gentle, almost magnetic attraction between your pubic bone and your bottom ribs. And even though the arms are reaching towards the sky, the shoulders are pulling down. Sweep the arms down, step that right foot back, hold in plank, step the left foot to the outside of the left hand, bring the right knee down, release the right foot down, sink the hips down and forward, start to walk the hands forward. And as you lower yourself down into this pose, make sure that you're keeping your chest square to the mat. So as you drop down to the deepest level that is comfortable for you, there's always even weight between the right and left arms. You want to come deeper, flex the right foot, lift the right knee. If you're a glutton for punishment, fingertip it out. And if you're up, you'll come down. Bring the torso up. Bring your weight into your right hand, turn the left toes out. Twist back to look over the left shoulder. And then if you'd like, you can bend that knee, grab hold, and press the hips forward. Gently releasing the foot. Tuck the toes. Turn the left toes forward, square the hips and chest. Walk that left foot in line with the shoulder. Lift the right knee up, and then roll yourself up. Crescent lunge. So again, as you come into this pose, we tuck the tail and under, pull it through, lift the pubic bone, bottom ribs drop down. Even as the arms reach up, the shoulders pull down. Sweeping the arms down, left foot steps back, plank. Lift up, downward facing dog. Come on down onto your knees. So we're going to do a mega hip opener. Double pigeon, square pose. So we're going to start with the left foot on the bottom. You are going to line yourself up so that your shin is parallel to the edge of your mat. And halfway between your halfway between your knee and your heel, lines right up with the center of your body. Flex your foot, this is going to protect your knee. Now you're going to take the right foot, stack the heel right on top of the knee. So in theory, heel on top of knee, shin on top of shin, knee on top of heel, okay? Now if you've got anything going on with the knees, you might need to add support under the left knee, between the right knee and the left ankle. And we want to work on sitting up nice and tall. So if you've got a tight low back, tight hips, if you've never been in this position before, you might find yourself kind of being here. That's fine. We want to start to work towards a nice long spine. A great way to do that is to find yourself a wall or a couch or anything flat and upright, and use that wall to kind of force yourself into a nice long spine. If you're feeling like, oh man, this is super easy, then you start to tip it forwards. As you're doing that, you want to keep your spine long. Okay? So resist the urge to take a little napsy. Stay nice and long. You want to keep the chest open today. And of course, if your knees are feeling icky, check first to make sure that you're not releasing the feet. Keep them flexed. And then if it's still wonky, put some support in under them. So if you're completely upright, you're just gonna take the right hand to the bottom of the right foot, left hand behind you, and twist. If you've tipped forward, you're gonna take that right elbow right into the arch of the right foot, and the left hand around, maybe grabs hold of the hip, and rotate yourself around, okay? So a couple different options. And release. Switch sides. Right leg is gonna be on the bottom this time. So again, my shin is lined up with the edge of my mat, my foot is flexed, and halfway between my heel and my knee, lined up with the center of my body. Flexing the left foot, stack it on top of the knee, shin on top of shin, knee on top of heel. Both feet are flexed, and I'm working on sitting up nice and tall. So again, if it's really hard to sit up tall, get yourself up against something. If this is easy peasy for you, start to tip forward. You always have one side that's more tight than the other, so this may or may not be your lucky side. This is not my lucky side. So when you do come up against that resistance and that discomfort, deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back to your breath. Keep connecting back into your body, because it is so easy to jump out of the body when we come up against difficult edges. We're going to come into the twist, so if you're upright, left hand to the left foot, right hand behind you, twisting. If you folded forwards, taking the elbow into the knee, right hand reaches around for the hip, and twisting. Release those legs. Oh, we're headed to Shavasana. How excited are we? However, first, we gotta get there. And what stands between us and Shavasana today is more at work. So, you're gonna start off with both feet on the floor, knees pointed towards the sky. Nice long spine. You can start by taking the hands behind the thighs and just extending out so that you come to kind of a 45-degree angle with your spine and with your thighs. This might be where you hang out. You might start to hang out here. You might start to hang out here. Or here. Or here. Or any of those variations. Keep drawing your belly button towards your low back. Spine stays long. And then slowly open everything out and lower it down. Give it a good shake. Get yourself ready for Shavasana. Palms turned up towards the sky. Couple of deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let me hear it. Feeling the weight of gravity on the skin in the front of the body. Then the weight of your clothing on your skin. Softening the skin on the front of the body. Letting it relax down into the tissue below the skin. And in turn, that tissue softens down into the bones. And the bones soften into the tissue of the back of the body. And the tissue of the back of the body softens into the skin in the back of the body, which softens into your clothing, which softens into the floor. Begin to deepen your breath again. Just imagine each inhale spreading through every piece of your body, to every cell. It's moving your chi all the way into your fingertips and your toe tips, the ends of your hair. Go ahead and start to bring movement into your body, stretching in any way that feels good. Slowly making your way onto one side of your body. Making your way up to seated. Coming back into your magnetic room, and you are metal. You're surrounded 360 degrees. And just feeling all of your cells being gently pulled away from each other, releasing any tension or compression, creating more space. Breathe into that space. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Happy Valentine's Day. Namaste.